Okay, hello, welcome back to my channel. It's literally pouring rain outside, so if you can hear the sounds of rain, hopefully that's relaxing for you because it's not going anywhere. Today I am going to be doing another first impression that I talked about in my last first impressions with the, I almost wanted to say Blend Bunny, Beauty Bay and NikkieTutorials palette. You know what? Let me just check and double check to see if it's still available. As of filming this video, it is still available and it's like 60% off, which is what I bought this palette for. I bought it for like $13, so I was like, absolutely, I will buy this for $13. First of all, the colors, or the color story, the packaging of this palette is stunning. I personally love it. And then the color story is as follows. If I'm gonna be 100% honest, it's not my most favorite color story that I've ever seen, but honestly the shimmers in here look so pretty that I really just, I don't know, collectionist, completionist, the collectionist, completionist part of me just truly couldn't say no for this palette for $13.50. So let's just give it a little live swatch and then we'll, you know, do a look. Okay, I'm already pretty zoomed in, so let me just do it. Okay. So the first shade in here is the shade Redemption, which is a really bright orange. A matte. Then we have the shade Bend and Snap, which I love, which is a pink. Then we have the shade Ivy, which is a sparkly white. This feels like they're like very infamous. I always want to say that. I guess famous is more accurate. Like just sparkly, really nice shimmer formula. Then we have the shade Slasher, which is a purple, like a berry kind of purple. Then we have the shade 5 AM, just a neutral mid-toned brown matte. Then we have the shade Roxy Kitten. I have no idea what that is a reference to. Ooh, that's so pretty. This is a pink with a gold sparkle to it. Not the most like unique shade ever, but really pretty. Then we have the shade VLA or Vla. Really not sure, to be honest. It's a like neon, bright neon yellow. The shade Mikai is a red. Then we have the shade Mila, which is a neutral, like honey kind of brown. Then we have the shade Underground, which is a beautiful taupe shimmer. Part of me wants to do just like a neutral look with this palette, but I'll probably play with the color. Then we have the shade Plot Twist, which is a very light pastel blue. And we have the shade Aura, which is another kind of like pinky gold shade. This maybe is a little bit more like peach. The shade Basic Tret is a beige. Can Beauty Bay ever not do a beige? The answer is no, even if it's in a collab. Ooh, then we have the shade All In, which is stunning. Wow. That's like a pink green shade, but maybe a little bit more muted than these kinds of shades are typically. The shade Ew is a bright green. I guess it's like funny because I think NikkieTutorials is known for like not liking green, right? Or at least when this palette came out. The shade Pride, which is super nice. Oh, I love it. This reminds me a lot of the really beautiful sparkly shade in the Lunar Beauty Moonspell 2 palette. It's a pink with a blue sparkle. That's gorgeous. The shade Zomer is a matte peach. See, I have 3 more shades. Just running out of room. Let's see. The shade Mama Tutorials. This feels like a regular kind of metallic, not quite the same sparkle. Then the shade Amsterdam is like an indigo. And then finally the shade Mr. Tutorials is a, can you see that? Like a greeny bronze. Excellent. Excellent swatch. Anyway, this is the color story. I like it a lot more than I thought. Yes and no. I think I like the shimmers a lot more than I thought. This is a cohesive color story. Not entirely, like, it doesn't excite me as much, but I still think I could get some really nice looks out of it, and I like all the colors individually, which is, you know, maybe not the entire point of a palette, but this is what we're working with. And the only other thing I will say is I think if you watch me, you will know my #1 criticism. For me, there's not nearly enough depth in here. I will go in with a black maybe to start. I wasn't going to, but just because I do want to have a look that I like. And that's like me, so I'll probably dip into another Beauty Bay palette for a black and then use this palette that way. So I'm going to so now I'm going to do some up close swatches and then some eye swatches, and then I will be back to do a little look with you guys. Hello. Eye swatch time. Okay, I'm intrigued to see how these mattes are going to perform on the eyes because, I don't know, I've just heard so many mixed things. So I'm first going to take the shade Redemption, oh my god, which is this light orange up here. I have my usual brush suspects that are not fully clean, but they're mostly clean of pigment, so. And then I'm going to prime each eye, prime my eyes before I go in with shadow with the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. It's my favorite primer, so. But it's not overly tacky or anything, just to let you know. Okay, cool. So, Redemption, here we go. I feel like these shadows are quite powdery. Anyway. That looks like kind of straight up Cheeto dust, which is funny, but honestly I thought that was going to be patchier than it was. Beauty Bay describes this as being a marigold orange matte. There's a little card here with shade descriptions, and I would say that's accurate. The next shade up we have is the shade Blend and Snap. That's also very nice, not really patchy at all. Okay, and Blend and Snap, by the way, was described as being a bubblegum pink matte. I forgot to say that. So the next shade is the shade Ivy. Our first shimmer. So first I'm going to go in with this dry. So very piecey, not super opaque, which honestly is kind of the vibe of the shadow. So now I'm going to take this and spray this a little bit. See how it works when it's wet. And then I'm going to go in with my finger. And then, yeah, finger is definitely the way to go, I think, with any of these creamy Beauty Bay shadows. But still a nice, just like sparkly, sparkly white. Yeah, that's described as an icy white shimmer, which I think is very accurate. Next up is the shade Slasher, which is a matte. You know what? I was expecting the shade to be a little bit patchy, but it's really not. This is described as being a mulberry purple matte, and I would say that's accurate. I'm not really sure what mulberry is, but I guess I'm trusting them. Next up is the shade 5 AM, which I just want to read as Sam, but it's not. It's 5 AM, which is a brown, a matte brown. That's actually very nice. Beauty Bay describes this as being a chocolate brown matte, which is 100% accurate. And then we have the shade Roxy. Roxy Catan. If anyone knows what that reference, oh my god, this shade, Roxy Catan. I have no idea what that reference is. Obviously, I guess I don't know NikkieTutorials that well. So anyway, it's a pink shimmer, looks so beautiful and sparkly. So pretty. Now I'm going to spray this. Definitely makes it more opaque, and then I'm going to take my finger and intensify it. I mean, absolutely beautiful. And this is described as being a bright pink shimmer, which is true, but it definitely has a gold sparkle to it. It's almost like a hot pink base, and then with like a gold sparkle, gold shift. So pretty. I love this. Okay, next up we have the shade Vla. Oh my god, this palette, which is this really, really bright yellow. I don't know if it's this is supposed to be VLA or Vla, but I'm gonna call it Vla. It's alright. Okay, we get it. Okay, this, I will not lie to you, is a little patchy on my lid, and it's very dry looking as well. So this is not my favorite shadow in the world. I mean, I'm sure it's really difficult to formulate like a pastel, bright, neon-esque yellow, so, you know, I wasn't expecting it to be amazing, but yeah, this is definitely quite patchy. This is described as a bumblebee yellow matte, which, yeah, is true. And then the next shade is this matte red called Mikai. This is a really, really nice matte. Not patchy, went on really well. And this is described as a true red matte, which I would 100% agree with. Okie dokie. Next up is the shade Mila. Please excuse my just absolutely disgusting fingers. They were just shredded at work because I was working with ropes and stuff. Anyway, this is a brown matte. And that red definitely stained a little bit. I mean, I'm sure I could have gotten it off if I'd scrubbed a little bit more, but I'm not going to do that, so. Again, really, really nice. Not patchy. Really, really nice. This is described as a caramel nude matte. I wouldn't say nude, but caramel brown for sure. And then we have the shade Underground, which is so pretty right here. So first off, going in with this dry. That's super nice. That's very opaque already. So now I'm gonna spray this. How nice is that? And then finger. That is glorious. This is described as being a silver gold shimmer, which is true. I feel like it's kind of like a taupey shade, but yeah, really nice. All right, next up we have the shade Plot Twist, which is one of the shadows that I've already used in my look. Not hopeful, well, hopeful, but not expecting too much. We'll see. This isn't super patchy, which is surprising. It's just a super light blue. They describe this as being a periwinkle matte, which honestly, I wouldn't really call this periwinkle. I would call this a light blue. That's just me. And then we have the shade Aura, which is, oh my god, I can't even see, another shimmer. All right, so going in with this dry first. So pretty. Then I'm gonna give this a spray. This is just water, if you are curious. And then with my finger, that is absolutely gorgeous. So pretty. They describe this as being an orange shimmer, which I frankly wouldn't agree with. I would say that this is definitely more of like a peachy pink shimmer with a gold shift, but that's just me. Okay, next up is the shade Basic Truth. Don't know. The most exciting shade ever. Ah, yes, so beautiful. They describe this as being a pink-toned nude matte. Not, I guess, pink-toned. I think I'm a little bit pink-toned, so it just looks more neutral on me. Nude, reject it. Frankly, it's a beige, okay? We all know it's a frickin' beige. And then the next shade is probably my favorite shade in the palette, this shade All In. This beautiful shimmer. Going in with this dry first. Ugh, it's just so sparkly. Now I'm going to take, or spray this, rather, build it up. And then use my finger to build this up as well. Oh, it's so gorgeous. They describe this as being a green duochrome. Green to what duochrome? But it's like a green to pink. I want to say duochrome, but it's super, super sparkly. So sparkly. So pretty. Okay, I feel like it's going to be like matte shimmer on each eye, but this is the shade Ew, which I also use in my look. A green. A matte green. Honestly, this is really nice. I love the color of this so much. They describe this as being a true green matte, which yes and no. It's actually quite an interesting green. I feel like there's almost like a little bit of blue to it. It's not super like true green. Okay, and then there is the shade Pride. That is next. Going in with this dry. This also is a contender for my favorite shade. I'm gonna spray this. I just have sparkle all over my face. And then go in with my finger. So pretty. They describe this as being a pink duochrome. Again, non-specified duochrome, pink and what duochrome, but it's like a hot pink duochrome with a blue shift. Oh, okay, hello. It's the next day, but for you, no time will have passed because my camera stopped recording, or actually the battery died right before I had 4 shades left to do this. So let's just finish. Okay, the next shade up is the shade Zomer. Again, not totally sure. It's a matte peachy shade. Very nice. Yeah, they described this as being a peach pink matte, and I would say that is true. The next shade is the shade Mr. Tutorials, which is this blue shimmer, and actually this is the only shimmer in the palette that's like a quote-unquote traditional shimmer, I would say. Alright, it's still super nice though. That was a dry, and I'm going to give this a spray and build it up. And then use my finger. Honestly, just a really nice metallic blue. Yeah, they describe this as being a baby blue shimmer, which I would say is true. Oh, sorry, this was Mama Tutorials. I feel like I said Mr. Tutorials. It's Mama Tutorials. Okay, the last two shades. The next shade is the shade Amsterdam, which is this beautiful blue periwinkle shade. Honestly, super beautiful. They describe this as being a cobalt blue matte, which, yeah, I would say that's true. There's a hint of purple in here, but super pretty. And then finally, the last shade is the shade Mr. Tutorials, which I also used in my first impressions. Going in with this dry. So pretty. Now I'm going to spray this. And then use my finger. Absolutely stunning. Interesting, they describe this as being a hazel shimmer, which is actually pretty accurate. It's like a dirty bronze with this like graininess to it. It's really, really beautiful. And that concludes the eye swatches. All right, I'm back to do a look. So for the black, I'm going to use the shade Noir from the Age of Opulence palette. Why not? You know, just because, I don't know, I feel like I haven't used the Age of Opulence palette in a while. Why not use the black from it? And just for reference, I have primed my eyes with the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, and I have not set my lids. So I'm just going to take the Noir shade and stamp this. I'm going to do a halo eye, I think. I'm going to stamp this in my inner and outer corners and take that through my crease. Just to get a base of depth. I mean, you could literally do this with any black shadow, so it doesn't have to be Beauty Bay. But I don't have to tell you that, like, you know that already. Okay, now that I'm looking all crazy, I'm gonna go finally into the NikkieTutorials palette. I'm gonna take the shade Amsterdam. This palette is difficult to hold up, I will say. And I'm just gonna go over, like, honestly, directly over this black. So maybe not like the best in terms of how the shadow actually performs by itself. Just need to bring this mirror in. But if you want it to be a Laura look, then there has to be some depth. Anyway, I'm just going to layer this over. I'm actually super excited by the shimmers in here. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. They hold their own compared to the current Beauty Bay palettes and the shimmers in there. So that is very exciting to me. But I know, I feel like I've heard a lot of people say they don't like this palette as much, but I also feel like I have heard a lot of people in like comments and just in general say that they do like it, so you never know. This blue is also holding its own and showing up over top of this black, which I always like to see. Alright, I like that because I feel like now it looks like a really dark navy, which is always good because it means that it's building up and holding its own color on top of the black, which is a very good sign in my opinion. And now, actually, let me take this brush that's falling apart. Now I'm going to do some more blending over that shade with the shade Ew, which is this green. So, this brush is kind of dirty. Hopefully that's okay. I'm just going to blend this over the edge of Amsterdam. And just hope to get a nice little blend going. I actually do think that this is quite a unique shade of green as well. And then I'm going to take the shade Plot Twist, which is a really nice light blue, and take this and just blend this out a little bit more. I really like the way these shades are blending together. I will not lie to you, thus far, really no issues with the mattes, which is interesting. And then I'm just going to go back in with a little bit of Ew, blend that into the shade Plot Twist, and then I'm going to go back into Amsterdam and then blend that again. So pretty, just going over that with a clean brush now, just over the very edges. And I might go back in with that same brush that I used the black on initially. Just stamp this around. Stamping it around is basically what I'm doing. Okay, cool. Can you imagine a better, more easy blend? Because I can't. That literally took no effort. For my lid, I want to kind of play with some of these neutrals a little bit, like neutral adjacent, I guess. I want to take the shade Mr. Tutorials on the outer and inner part, and then the shade All in the center. I could go with Underground in the center, but I'm not going to. Okay, but first I'm going to take some NYX glitter primer and just put that in the center of my lids. And then I'm going to take the shade All In first in the center. Oh, look at that. This shade, this could be honestly like a new Beauty Bay palette. At least this shimmer, like look at that. And then I'm going to take Mr. Tutorials, which doesn't feel as sparkly. Yeah, it's almost more like a bronzy green, but I'm just going to put that on the inner and outer parts of my lid. Not fully covering it, but I will blend the blue and black into that. And then just going to blend All In and Mr. Tutorials into each other, just going back and forth. Okay, I just did my other eye and then I did my blush and highlight off camera. I used the Wet n Wild Loose Highlight in the shade I'm So Lit and the e.l.f. Bite Size Blush Duo in the shade Spiced Apple over top of that. Okay, and I have the Milani Cream Blush in something that it will be in the description box. Anyway, okay. So now to finish off the top half of my eyes, I'm going to take the shade Amsterdam and just blend this into the very like edges of the shimmer on my lid. And then very lightly as well, take that over the center and then just use this to kind of buff the shimmers out. And then I'm just going to take a little bit more of Ew. And then I'm going to take this slightest touch of Plot Twist and just buff that along the very edges, like very lightly. Then I'm going to take All In and Mr. Tutorials on my fingers. Look at those shades, and intensify these on my lid. For my lower lash line, I'm going to do basically all the same steps. I'm going to take Noir from the Age of Opulence palette and stamp this underneath my eyes. Take Amsterdam, put that over the top of the black and also in my inner corners. Then I'm going to take a fluffier semi-clean brush and take Ew and then buff that out. And then take Plot Twist and blend that out as well. Then I'm going to take Mr. Tutorials and All In and spray those shades and then put them on my lower lash line, connecting them to my upper lid. It's just, I feel like this really ties everything in together. I've really been enjoying doing this with Halo Eyes recently. And then very lastly, I'm going to take the shade, Ivy. Try not to stab my finger in any of these shadows. And just take that and put this on my brow bone. Okay, cool. So I'm going to finish up the rest of my face, basically put my lashes on and my lips. Put something on my lips and then I'll be back to show you the finish. Okay, and this is the finished look. I really like it. My hair is still wet, so excuse that. I showered when I got home from work, but let's just not look at my hair. On my lips, I have Makeup Forever Endless Cacao. I have the NYX Lip Lingerie liquid lipstick in the shade Honeymoon, but I just put a little bit of that and kind of blended it in, and then I put the Sephora Outrageous Plump Effect lip gloss in the shade 01. Or I think this is the Plump Effect lip gloss in the shade Outrageous. Not sure, it's just clear. And that is all that I have to say, I believe. Honestly, love this palette so far. I'm super pleasantly surprised, I will say. I had pretty much like very low expectations going into this because everyone shit talked this palette so much. The shimmers particularly I'm super happy with. I think they're all so pretty, like so pretty. So I honestly feel like it's worth it as of right now just for these shimmers, like $13 for these beautiful shimmers. I'm no regrets, no buyer's remorse at all. And honestly, if you were eyeing it, I would say like honestly go for it because it's so cheap and it's so beautiful. I'm just so happy. I can do a 3 looks 1 palette with this palette. Not sure. I have so many palettes that I have to do a 3 looks 1 palette with that I feel like by the time I get to this one, it might be like gone forever. But I can prioritize it if you really want to see a 3 looks 1 palette. Or I mean, it could be useful. This is an older palette as well, like just for new invigorated inspiration if you have this in your collection. Could always be good. Honestly, I watch people's 3 looks 1 palettes with discontinued palettes all the time, but that's just me. And yeah, if anything, I haven't done my eye swatches yet, so if there's anything new that comes up, I will just talk about it in my eye swatch portion. But honestly, I'm super happy with it thus far. Obviously, I haven't used every single matte in the palette, but so far, so fucking good. Let me know if you have this palette and if you like it. I know some people have commented already and given me their thoughts, but I'm always open to conversation. And Thank you so much for watching this video. I upload 3 videos a week. Typically, I'm a little bit behind in terms of uploads because I just started my new job, so I'm kind of just getting into a new routine.